What's up, guys? Jacob here, back with another video. Got my glasses on. Look at those circles right there. In this video, I'm going to talk about the protein myth. Okay, let's just go ahead and dive right into it. So, in the culture of America, for some reason, we are obsessed with protein. We're obsessed with meat intake. We're obsessed with protein intake, protein bars, protein this, protein that, and especially for people who lift a lot of weights or work out a lot, they're just like so obsessed with protein. And I follow primarily a plant-based diet, which people view as a low protein diet. And while protein definitely is necessary, it is not necessary at the amount that many people currently believe. And in this video, I'm going to talk about that, okay? Diving into this, so a little bit of backstory. So I've been, relatively plant-based for about the last 2 years or so. I started being plant-based mainly because I didn't want to eat low-quality foods like meat that you find in the store or factory farming or anything like that. Like, I do not find it appetizing to eat a chicken that sat in a cage and shit all over itself. Okay, that just doesn't sound good to me. Doesn't sound like something that I should put in my body, so I don't. And with this, I did a lot of research. I'm obsessed with nutrition, and so I really started to learn a lot about how to do this. At the time, whenever I was not plant-based, I was eating about a pound of beef a day, okay? So I used to be a pretty big proponent of eating meat. And then whenever I switched to plant-based, that was a shock for my system. And when I wasn't plant-based, I was sitting at around 205, okay? That was about my weight. I think it was 207 was my starting weight. And within about 6 months, I got down to 195 pounds, and currently I sit at 190 pounds, okay? A little bit more backstory with this. This month, for the month of June, I've currently juice fasted a total of 14 days. At the start of this month, I weighed 192 pounds, and this morning fasted, I weighed 189 pounds. So with a total of 14 days of juice fasting, I've only lost 3 pounds. And my goal of juice fasting was not to lose weight. I know many people try and, do it that way, but my goal of juice fasting, I'm gonna bring this up a little bit. My goal of juice fasting was not to lose weight. My goal of juice fasting was to kind of cleanse my body, clean out my digestive system, and also kind of tap into the purity that I believe can be found through juice fasting. And, there's a spiritual element to it also, okay? But so, when I tell people that I'm plant-based, and when my girlfriend tells people that she is primarily plant-based, everyone's like, but where do you get your protein, blah, blah, blah. And there's such a myth around this that I just wanted to dive into it. And the research and the science 100% shows that you don't need as much protein as you think you need, as long as your carbohydrate intake, there we go, is high enough, okay? And currently I'm becoming a certified fitness nutrition specialist, and I would say I've been a pseudo nutrition specialist for about 2 years now. I've helped a lot of people in the areas of nutrition, but I thought I'd become certified just so I can make videos like this without you telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so real fast, I just want to read a couple excerpts from the literature that I'm studying from a couple different areas. Okay, right here it says, however, for endurance athletes who may struggle to consume adequate calories to fuel extended training sessions, or for the average exerciser striving to lose weight, research suggests that protein helps to preserve lean muscle mass and to ensure that the majority of weight loss comes from fat rather than lean tissue. While these may seem like great reasons to boost protein intake, it is worth noting that most people habitually consume more than even the most liberal protein intake recommendations. For women and men between the ages of 19 and 70, The recommended dietary allowance, RDA, for protein is 46 to 56 grams respectively. Protein consumption beyond these amounts is unlikely to result in further muscle gains because the body has a limited capacity to utilize amino acids to build muscle. Okay, so there's one take. That's 46 to 56 grams. I do realize that that is on the lower end for protein intake, but for most women, I would say that is pretty accurate. Okay, let me read one more thing. This is coming from Plant-Based Sports Nutrition, Expert Fueling Strategies for Training, Recovery, and Performance. Shout out Tara. And this is by, written by 2 doctors and registered dietitians. Okay. Right here it says, determining protein needs. This is building muscle without meat. Your needs are likely met by recommended dietary allowance of 0.8 grams per kilogram of body mass. So 0.8 grams per kilogram of body mass is the baseline for most people. Right here it's going into it. If, however, you are training intensely for 8 to 40 hours a week, your protein needs may be about twice the RDA, particularly during the start of the season or a new training regimen, or when muscle mass gain is important. Suggested that athletes need 1.2 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body mass per day. Okay, so let's go into this. I know people right there, they're hearing it at the end. 2 grams, see, I told you. 8 to 40 hours of intense training per week. Okay, if you take the average individual that workouts, I would say that they work out 5 days a week for maybe an hour. And are those hours intense? I mean, some of it, maybe half, right? Just a baseline of 8 intense hours a week is a lot. Okay, that is a person that is working out 6 days a week. If you're not working out at least 6 days a week, or you're not an athlete, I based off what I've learned, and I'm not saying this because I'm like mad at people that say you need too much protein. I'm making this video to educate. Based off what I've learned, you don't need more than 0.8 grams. And if you do need more, it's on the lower end, and it's at 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. Okay. And if we do the math on this real fast, so I weigh 190 pounds. Okay. So if we do 190 divided by 2.2, so 190 and a kilogram is 2.2 pounds. So 2.2, that is 86 kilograms. And if I do 1.2 grams, so 86 times 1.2, I need to consume 103.2 grams of protein per day to maintain a high intense workout regime of about, let's say, 10 hours per week. Okay, I am 6'4", 190 pounds. That is not even close to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Okay, that is close. That was much closer to half. Okay, if you take let's say like a female that's 130 pounds, so 130 pound female that is working out 6 days a week times 1.2, or 130 divided by 2.2 equals 59. So 59 times 1.2 equals 70. She needs 70 grams of protein per day. 70 grams of protein is not very hard to get at all. Like anywhere from 50 to 70 grams of protein should be what the average female or a female that works out should aim to consume. An average female should also aim to consume about 50 to 70 grams of protein. And remember that if you're on a high protein diet and you're consuming too much protein, extra protein is stored as fat. You don't just like grow extra muscle on your body because you're consuming 1 gram per pound. Extra protein is stored as fat. It's that simple. Extra carbs are stored as fat, and fat that is not needed is stored as fat, right? And so, you know, the main thing that brings results in your training and recovery and gains and performance is not the protein that you intake, but it's rather the carbs that you eat. Okay, carbs are your primary energy source. For the first 3 hours of your workouts. For the first hour, you're using only carbs, right? And if you're staying in a high intense training zone, you're going to use only carbs for the first 3 hours or until you run out, okay? After you run out of carbs, you don't go to fats for energy, okay? I'm gonna make another video right after this about this. It doesn't go carbs, fat, protein. It goes carbs, protein, fat, and maybe fat. And you know, the reason is because your body wants glucose, your body wants glycogen, and the only way that it can get glycogen, the way that it does it second after your glycogen are depleted is it breaks down protein. Where does it get protein? There's two sources, either protein that you're eating while you're exercising, so like some kind of goo or drink that has protein, or it's coming from your muscle. Okay, and the only time you would need to raise your protein is if your carbohydrate was lower, but that doesn't make any sense. Okay, it will decrease your performance if you are using protein as your energy source. Your body wants carbohydrates as its energy source, plain and simple. Okay, unless you are doing extremely low intense exercise, such as going for a long walk or going for like a low intense bike ride or low intense swim, you need carbohydrates for your energy. Okay, so again, just to summarize this video and the protein myth, you don't need 1 gram per pound of body weight. You need roughly about 0.8 to 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. Okay, for most people, 0.8 grams would be fine. So whatever your weight is, let's say you weigh 220 pounds, okay? Just to make it easy, you weigh 220 pounds, you divide that by your kilograms, that gives you 100 kilograms. You multiply that by 0.8 and you only need 80 grams of protein per day. Okay, you're 220 pounds. Most people, first off, shouldn't really be 220 pounds unless you're a linebacker. But you're 220 pounds, you only need 0.8 or 80 grams of protein per day, and at a max you need 120. You do not need 220 per day. Okay, so there's the video. I hope this made sense. I hope you enjoyed this. I really recommend going plant-based. I'm plant-based with like the exception of some Saturdays, and if I do eat on those days, it's usually fish, raw eggs, oysters, stuff like that. Okay, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, comment below. I'd love to help, and I'll talk to you guys later. Adios.